What's going on? What's going on,
What's
everyone?
going on? What is going on? I don't know what is up with this shirt today. It's not cooperating. Welcome to Thursday Night
Welcome.
Live.
Welcome, everyone. This is so
we
funny.
and we probably have a delay as usual, but I think we'll work it out. But what's going on, sis? What's going on?
Yeah, we probably do have a delay, but that's okay. What are you going to do? Sometimes I'd be like, I need to really check my level of patience because I'll say this to James all the time because he doesn't like to stand in lines. One thing I just want to remind the people of is that you are the line. You are the line. There wouldn't be a line if you didn't need what you wanted at the end of this line. And several other people want it too. And so just become and be one with the line and be okay with it. This is a perfect time for you to check your emails or play a phone game. I think that your poly line or whatever is the perfect chance for you to look at stuff. Like that's the time where you can scroll. It's okay to scroll because there's nothing else you can really do. But yeah, you
He
have to
don't
just
stand
be
in no
patient.
lines.
Huh?
He doesn't stand in any lines.
It's like when he sees a line, it's like he's irritated, like the line shouldn't be there. Now, one thing that does always happen to us is we'll go somewhere and there won't be a line, and we'll get in line, and then there'll be a line behind us. It's like, oh, everybody
Every
came after.
time. Every time.
We're just manifestors, everyone.
Listen, at this point, I'll be like, I expect it. If I come out or if I go somewhere and it doesn't happen, I'm wondering what's going on. Because, yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. But I used to be like that with the line thing, right? But if it's now if it's a line that moves, okay, right, I can do that. I can do that. But like something like Slutty Vegan, her lines used to be like hours long, and people used to stand there and wait and do it. I think I would have stood in that line. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
You're looking for an experience, and it's like it's an experience. It's like you're that's what this life is about, man. Get some experiences, some lived experiences, and become wise. And you
what's
know,
going on, Blondie?
oh, I wasn't even looking at the
Listen,
comments.
when I went to so when we went to Hawaii, right? This is the perfect example. Went to Hawaii, there was this shrimp truck called Giovanni Shrimp, and like it's popular and like, oh, you gotta go. If you go to Hawaii, you gotta go to Giovanni Shrimp Truck, right? The line, you gotta order, you gotta stand in line to order. And then you gotta wait for your food to come up. We probably waited about 45 minutes total. Like that was the line. So
I wonder how
some
things
of them were.
were back before our society started to demand things be faster, like pre microwave, like before microwave existed. Because I know there's a whole population of people who did
Yeah.
not trust the microwave and were like, I ain't putting my food in that thing. You can put your food in that thing if you want to, but I'm putting my food in the oven on a stove like it's supposed to be. Right? I can just hear it right now. It's a whole lot of people. But like before
Listen,
the
I will butt in and say I do use the microwave occasionally, but most of the time, I mean, well, now I use the air fryer, but I definitely am one of those people that will like use the oven to heat up something just because I don't know, some stuff doesn't do right in the microwave. But yeah, we just waited back then. It just
we
was
just
what it was.
waited, there
Just
were
because,
people
listen,
waiting.
back then we had to wait to watch TV. You couldn't even pick what you wanted to watch on TV unless you had recorded it.
You had to wait for a lot of stuff back then. You had to wait at the bus stop. You had to wait. You
Mm-hmm.
reading the paper. You have to wait for a check to clear. You have to
Yeah.
wait for, like, you don't have no cell phone. You got to wait to get home to call somebody or to receive a phone call. Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
not even thinking like I'll call you. Oh, the thumbs up. You're not even thinking like I'll call you on the way. We'll talk on the way. What? That was never a thing. People now take phone calls in their car, which is like cool or whatever, but it's like I like to use my, like, when I have car time, I like to use it to like listen to podcasts or whatever, because it's like
Yeah.
it's my time to just learn or zone out. And
Yeah.
I don't want to, I mean, like, occasionally I'll have phone calls, but
But yeah, those don't take precedence. Yeah, I'm like you. I'm either doing an audiobook, a podcast. Sometimes I'm like listening to my playlist or whatever.
yep.
But if somebody calls, I just be like, okay. you know.
But back then, and I feel like I was bringing that up because I was wondering if obviously the attention spans have been are a little different from then to now, but I wonder if you know I don't know. I just feel like this all of this is an experiment, okay? I really feel like that. And I feel like when we start to see the effects, the long-term effects of social media on like what it does to people's like education or their, whatever. Like I think there's definitely some upsides to social media, but when we get to see like, oh man, we found this, like this is a pattern in so many areas. Like when we find out that kind of science, like how they discovered asbestos way too late, and they're like, "You were around, sorry." But I think this is like that's what social media is doing, and I'll be curious to see what happens. Hey, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, what's going on? Is that Rafi?
Yes,
Rafi?
I'll be curious to see what the
I'm pretty sure there are some effects or whatever, but it's funny that you were talking about like back in the day how you had to wait till somebody got home and stuff like that. So present day, that is a thing. The communication style is a thing, right? Somebody's dating and like maybe you're a person that likes to work your day and then have your phone calls at night, but then you have people who are like, you need to be texting me every hour on the hour all day. If you don't text me, you don't love me. You don't text me, you don't want to be with me, kind of thing, right? So like that wasn't even a thing back in the day. So it has affected people as far as communication is concerned. So look at Buttercup. She just snuck in the
she swears she's a star. Like, she swears she's the star of the show.
Anyway, but yeah, I would be looking to see I'm pretty sure some stuff that we're not even thinking about too. So
yeah. I don't know if so the way that we're collecting topics now, guys, I hope you forgive us because I don't know where it started, like where we stopped off last time. So if we talked about our first topic,
we talked about
this next topic that we're about to go into, if we've talked about this before, then this is did we talk about the guy who went in there speaking fluent Chinese? We talked about that last week?
No, I just saw that today. I thought that was new.
Okay, I think it's new too. I'm trying to figure out where it started.
I think I don't know. I went in and I looked at stuff and it was like halfway through. So I don't know. We'll know. You'll know because it'll be familiar. Like we already talked about this.
Yeah, I think we talked about. Okay, I think I know where we are. All right, so listen, guys, we're gonna start it from here.
No, okay, let me say this. So this is what I wrote down. Like I didn't write down all of them, but I wrote down stuff that I had like a thought about. Right.
Okay.
Japan is lit. Right. I had a thought about that. I thought that was interesting. The dad, the jump dad. I'm just gonna say it like that.
Okay. Yeah.
The medical student, the balloon pop, Grant Cardone, and Jay Morrison and energy drinks. That's what I wrote down. But it was other stuff in between that, but I didn't have an immediate thought about it. So
of course, I'm trying to figure out. I think we talked about. If we overlap, we overlap. I feel like we talked about B. Simone's podcast and Megan Ashley's podcast last time and how we were going to watch it. And I have watched some of the Jackie Hill Perry interview, which is so good. I'm on the second part now. And I've been watching B. Simone's episode. She had a really good one with Crystal Renee from the BET shows, like Sisters and all that. But she's having, B. Simone, I've seen her, one of her more recent shows where she did a solo show and it was only like 30 something minutes and it was really good. And so they're both doing their thing. I support them both. We both support them both. But then there was this one story where I thought this was hilarious because we're going to talk about race tonight, guys. Can we? Let's just talk about race because some things are like really cool to see. It's like, I don't know. We're going to talk about this. So this is this right here? This is a man who walked into a restaurant and he was ordering in Chinese and the woman in the back comes back out and she's like, no, you're kidding me. Like her reaction was crazy. Like she couldn't believe that his Chinese was so good. And he did kind of sound like one of those old movies, those old, I'm not gonna lie. It was like, is that voice coming out of his face? It was very interesting, but he did speak so well. And I guess in their culture, like, if you're speaking a language and you're speaking it very well, it's going to be noticeable. So they gave him his food for free. They were so
Mm-hmm.
excited. She was like, you're one of us. But so what do you think about that before we go any further?
No, I think that's cool. I mean, he's obviously immersed himself into the culture. I've seen another video before where there was another guy, he was eating with chopsticks really well, and the people in the restaurant asked him how, they were talking about how well he ate with the chopsticks, and he started talking to them in their language too, or whatever. I mean, if I'm living somewhere, you know what I'm saying, I need to be able, I think that's good. Like, how, you know what I mean? How are you living somewhere you can't, he just happens to be exceptional at it, but I like it. I think she was, a lot of people probably don't take the time to learn the language like that. So I think that it was a respect thing for real, for real. She was like, much respect, because
He said he studied.
He's showing respect by learning the language like he did. You know what I mean?
He said he studied for a long time and he put his whole heart into studying the language. And they were just in shock and awe. They were looking at him. They couldn't believe it was him talking. It was like very weird. Now, okay.
He been waiting on it. It looked like he was waiting for that reaction too, so he could just like bust out and start talking. But he had the stance and everything.
She gave him his food for free. He was like, really? She was like, yes. Shook his hand. And then he was like, make sure you come back. Come back. Like they were so shocked. So this is a good listen. We need another word for racism, because this isn't racism, but it is a little racist. I'm gonna lie. I'm just gonna say it, because it's like, why wouldn't you expect them to like, obviously it's possible because here he is.
Well,
but I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm not saying.
I don't think so at all. Listen, I think that they work at a restaurant, so they probably see more people than regular people, and he's obviously the first one because of how impressed she was. So
yeah,
that's why she would be impressed, or
it was shocked.
I don't think it, because nobody probably did it, or
no one's ever done it before. All right, I'll give it that. But this was really good. It did warm my heart.
Let me finish really quick.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I don't think anything is wrong with that. I just had to interject something that I wanted to say that is an example of somebody being racist. I was in this courtroom one time, right? And the judge was calling people up. So I sat there, and it was like, about 5 or 10 people went, and then there was this one lady that he called that was Hispanic. He called her name. She said that she was there, like she said present or whatever. She got up and started walking up there. He said, wait, do you need an interpreter? And I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It turns out that she did, but I was like, that was pretty like presumptuous for you to assume that. She hasn't even said anything. You know what I'm saying? I was like, thank God she did, because I was going to be like, sir. But I feel like that was racist, because why would you just assume that, and this is just a strange lady in the courtroom? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think anything's wrong with that. Like, I think that she was very respectful. They showed, he was, like I said, I think he showed respect by learning the language as well as he did. And she showed the respect by giving him his food, and they have a new respect for him, because probably nobody comes in there and does it.
Yeah.
The same thing at the nail salons. If we could figure out how to speak the language and then have conversations back, they probably would be, impressed.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen that before too. And it is impressive. It really is. So I'll give it that. I'll give it that. No hater, no shade. Now this next one though, since we're on the topic of race, this man right here is running the streets. He's wild. Okay. Grant Cardone is now, this clip is making its rounds in social media land, because he's basically saying that he's breaking down the hierarchical structure of like economics as far as race. So he's like, oh, brown people are at the top, meaning Indian people. And then he's saying Asian people are next, and then there's white people, and then there's black and brown people. And they're like Hispanic, and he's like, yeah. So he's like, so if you're white and you're not at the top, then I don't know what's wrong with you. You're white and you're at the bottom. Like he was saying, like, I use my privilege. I don't know about you, but
Mhm.
this stuff, I'm not gonna let this go to waste.
Did he
No,
lie
he did
though?
not. He did
And that's the crazy part.
not.
He was speaking facts in that jump when he said that.
Mm,
That was the crazy part. I was like, what?
that's
I
wild.
mean, and but he's saying it out loud. There's a lot of people who know that same thing or think that same thing who would never say it. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying, and I mean, you gotta respect somebody who's just gonna say what they're gonna say.
Because
Because
I can take like that's I was about to say that because it's like if you know the person is this, it's like you can know what to expect. If you don't know, right? If you don't know what the person is because they're concealing it, that's a little bit more dangerous because you're not
it
going to see.
is.
So
I agree because I would rather have a person just speak their mind like this. It's so funny to me though when people speak their mind so hard and they think they're down and then they say something like racist and they're like off. And it's like, well, that's racist. And they're like, really? Because it's like, yeah, it is. But that's why I say we need another word that doesn't. It's not as it's not hatred. It's just prejudice. It's like it's dangerous still, but it's not. It's not like harsh racism. It's just like, oh yeah, that was racist. Like, yeah, obviously you believe, that you're superior in some way. Like, like obviously you're racist, but but it's spilling out of you. Like, I completely understand. I appreciate you being honest, but wow, it's just oozing out there that
I mean,
racism.
just that act alone is the point.
Yeah.
Just even him saying it, you feel me?
I
So
feel you, but you know what? When you bring up the point that, like, okay, I'm glad he's being honest. I've actually had that thought about Joe Rogan, and people hate Joe Rogan, and I'm
hmm
like, I mean, listen, you know, I don't hate him. I think he has some, he has some value to add. I just think that he doesn't take respect seriously enough, right? So one day that'll not work out for him. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I don't think, I'm not, I don't think he's part of the clan. Now, I'm not saying that Grant Cardone is part of the clan either, but he's a little clannish. He knows a few members. I don't know if Joe Rogan knows any clan members. If he does, he maybe, wouldn't rock with them. I feel like Joe Rogan would be like, no, clan member, you're not cool. But I feel like Grant Cardone will be like, hey, buddy, you want, let's have a drink. Like, I don't know. Grant Cardone is a
and
little
that's what
bit
I'm
too
saying.
close.
The act is white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? Like just him being him is that. That's it. Like having the balls to say it and think that what that's racist. Like that's it.
No, what? That's
You know
not
what I'm saying? Because
offensive.
he is who he is. Because other people would know not to say certain things or whatever because of the culture that we're in right now. But at the same time, I have to go back and say like, where is the lie?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Listen, this is why it's great to have these kinds of conversations because there's value to be taken on all ends here. It's valuable to know that people think this way, which obviously we knew people thought this way. I even saw an old clip of, I didn't even send it to you. I don't think I did. If I did, it wasn't one of our topics. It's an old clip of a 90210, an episode of 90210 where Vivica Fox was like guest starring.
Mm-hmm.
And the character Kelly reaches in and she says something like, talking to Brandon, talking about very hip, Brandon, very hip, right? Which was kind of like a microaggression. And it's like for people to be now like, what do you mean we're racist? It's like you knew the whole time. Like if to make someone prove that, it reminds me of those cartoons we used to watch and and they would get all the way, maybe like Scooby-Doo, they would get all the way to the end and they would solve the crime and they would be like, that's why how we know it was you, Dr. Redford. And they'll take the thing off. And it's like the dude would have been faking the whole time. He will ride that lie out to the end, like, no, I'm not Dr. Redford. And then as soon as they take whatever mask off of him, it'd be like, yeah, it's me. And it's like, we knew that the whole time. Anyway. All right. Sorry, I got off on a tangent. Listen, let's do a public service announcement. Guys, we have to stop drinking. I haven't had an energy drink in some time, but now I'm starting to understand. There's this person who looks like a nurse, but honestly, I don't know who posted this, but someone is saying,
you don't know if it's a nurse. It's funny how like shit is it AI at this point? Shoot.
Is it AI? Or you could just order like whatever that person was wearing, like it was like a hairnet and a mask. Like that, yeah. You can order that from Amazon. But anyway,
I believe this for real, but I mean she's speaking some facts too, so
I believe these things cause issues. Now I know that prime drink that Logan Paul was behind is really dangerous, and I just hope that nobody that I know is drinking that prime stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't, but I had a conversation with your nephew before because somebody he knew was drinking them and he was trying to get them to stop drinking them, but that was involved in how Kevin Samuels would drink a lot of those Red Bulls. Sorry,
yeah,
a lot of Red Bulls. But I do remember when it was a time where I used to drink Red Bulls like crazy.
Me too.
My serving days.
Me too.
But yeah, I haven't had one in a while, in a long, long time.
I recall like mixing it with alcohol as well.
Red Bull vodka. I remember people ordering that in the club too. Yeah.
Dude, that was like crazy. It's like to mix the two, a downer and an upper or something. And then also I remember they used to sell certain drinks that were like caffeinated alcoholic beverages, which is really not a good mix, but I've had said beverages and I can affirm that it's not a good mix. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend those because it's like your systems are trying to do two different things. It's like, what is this even? It's like your body's trying to like.
A lot of people, I know, I don't know a lot of people that drink Celsius, but I've seen a lot of like influencers doing videos drinking Celsius.
Well, look, guys, you heard it here. Dr. Demita Joe.
No. Not at all.
No, I'm just playing. I was going to say.
But I do like the fact that they included alternatives of things to, like naturally perk you up and stuff, like some teas and stuff like that. Yeah, I do appreciate that.
And okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah. I like the way that she did say that, or I'm saying it sucks that I have to question who people are all the time. This didn't used to happen. It used to be where it's just like, hey, I met these people and they said they're from here, so I believe them. Let's go hang out, right? But and it used to be real. It's like they really live there, and we're really friends now. Like like now you gotta question everything. Like, is this a real profile? Are you a real human being?
Listen, I get random requests every so often, and it always be like a person with like 7 pictures, and it'd be like, "Where'd you come from?" They'd be having like 200 followers or whatever with 7 pictures, and I'm like, "What is this? This is not a real person. It can't be a real person. Like, what are you doing?" But I've gotten the request like multiple, like different ones, but it'd be the same kind of thing. Like it's a different person, but it's like a different name or whatever. But it's like just a handful of pictures, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I've gotten to like five different ones.
People do that, and there's actual cities that are overseas that are built to like scam people. Like they're not built to scam people, but they have whole operations where it's like, oh, there's a whole office building and they're just scamming people in that joint. Like, oh, let's see. Look, it's 9:00 in New York. Let's start. Time to scam.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody log on. Okay,
Oh,
so
but
this
yeah.
next one, look, this next topic, guys, I'm really excited about this because I love nostalgic stuff. But this actually got me thinking about something else. So this is the moment in Sesame Street after 14 years when the adults actually see Mr. Snuffleupagus, and they're like, for the first time, and they're like, oh my God, he does exist. And so they're like, oh my God, this whole time before that, they thought Big Bird was lying. And so obviously, I get stuff like this across my feed because I like stuff like this and I love Sesame Street. Okay. I just bought 3 t-shirts with Sesame Street characters on them as the shirt, and I love them. One of them is Oscar. Oh, it's a green shirt. I love it. So,
Where'd you get them from?
Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, okay, so that's why this probably came in my feed because I like Hello Kitty and I like Muppets and I like all this stuff. But when I looked at this and I looked at how this played out, and Big Bird was like, "And you guys didn't believe me," and I was like, "Yeah, way to check their asses, Big Bird," because everybody's got to go through that in their life. Like, I feel like if you have a really good idea or if you have a dream or a thought that you want to build on, and you're like, I wonder if I could be good at this, whether it's painting or playing the guitar or something that you think you're too old or too young for, or something that nobody you know does, like, you should go for it, because this really kind of reminded me and triggered me a little bit, because I was like, yeah, like, there's been several things I've done in my life where people were like, no, that's not going to work out, or that can't be done. It's just like, oh, this right here, yeah, it turns right on and off. You know, and it's like, only you know. But when I saw this clip, it just definitely took me there, because I was like, that's right, Big Bird. Big Bird checked the shit out of them. They were like, and when I said it, you didn't believe me. Look at all their faces. They're shocked. That's how they'll look when
Oh my
things
goodness.
work out for you out there, guys. That's, that's my whole reaction to that. What is your reaction to this clip?
Honestly, my first reaction was, did this happen like this? I feel
I
like
believe so. Okay,
I'm
so
too
this
old
is
to
before my
remember.
time.
I feel like I'm too old to remember it now. I've replaced that memory with something else, but I watched the whole thing and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, those people aren't that young anymore, and blah blah blah. I was like, this must have happened. So
I believe that it happened. I think we could easily check. Somebody knows. Somebody we know
I'm
knows.
not debating that. No, I was just my first thought was, damn, I don't remember it. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
watched.
I don't think I was here for this live. I don't remember this like in the storyline. Like, I was explaining. Okay, check this out, guys. I was explaining the whole storyline from All My Children circa
Lord.
1991 to one of my coworkers, and I was like, "You weren't watching All My Children that summer?" I was like, "I remember we were out on summer break, and there's these breaks between like when school and camp start, and you have these weeks off." And I remember thinking like, oh, I'm about to watch this and I'm gonna figure out what's gonna happen to Natalie because she fell down the well. And part of it was like, our stepfather at the time was like, let's go to the zoo. And I was like, no. I didn't see what happened to this lady that fell down the well.
Yeah, is All My Children still on?
I believe so. But it's
That's
like, it's crazy how they'll drag out a story, because I remember thinking that like I was gonna get to the bottom of it. Like, I was gonna finally, oh, I gotta watch this week because they're gonna reveal what happened this week. And I didn't realize how like they draw that joint out for months.
Tyler Perry has learned how to do that well with his like sisters. I gotta go back and actually get back into watching that, but he does that with the with those series. It's like, oh my god, okay, I'm not gonna find that out until next time.
And
So,
the sitcoms too. I was watching one of those sitcoms, the one with China McClain, and I was like, a lot of this is just ad lib. Like, they'll go a whole 2 segments, and it'll be like, Bobby did what? Right? And they'll just go in each room and just react to it and be like, that's what I said. Well, why would you say it if I said it? Now we back to the front. What did Bobby do? Why don't you let him talk? And then he'll talk and he'll tell you what you did. It's like, nobody wrote this shit. Y'all, you're in costume,
Oh
you're
my
feeling
goodness.
a character, and it's got to be all ad lib. But I mean, it's a show, and somebody sits there and watches that whole show, and it's like, we're getting watered down versions of things these days. Because I'm not gonna lie, like I was also talking to somebody about the show Roseanne, and I know Roseanne is supposedly like a Trump supporter or something, but nobody's ever gonna, make me hate Roseanne. I'm sorry, she's hilarious in my head, and I remember that show, and it just signified something different to me at the time. It was like, oh, here's a family that I know. Like, I know these people. Like, it was just a relatable show. I don't think we really have those types of shows anymore, like where people like wrote actual. I know a lot of that stuff was ad lib too, but like the Cosby Show and like
What about the
all of
Rock?
those shows we used
The
to
Rock
watch.
show? The Rock show?
Oh, and they were doing live, remember, for a while?
Yeah, but have you watched the Upshaws on Netflix with Kim
No,
Fields
I
and
haven't
Tabitha
seen
Brown is
that.
about to be on there too? They Kim Fields did a little Instagram the other day, and she was like she was thinking wondering if Tabitha Brown want to be on the show, and next thing you know she got her on there. But that's a great show. I would definitely recommend you binge that.
Okay.
And the Miss Pat show is on Netflix too. That's good. So those are like, and then like nowadays, like it's shows that we could watch that represent us, right? For real. So you're gonna like the Upshaws.
All right, I'm gonna definitely watch that. I'm just writing my name. I'm writing my name. I'm just writing myself a little note so I
Yeah.
don't forget to watch. But okay, on to the next thing. All right, guys, I don't know who watches this stuff, but we're gonna talk about it because we follow things like this, and there's a little bit of drama in the entrepreneur. You know what I thought to myself? This is like Kendrick is beefing with Drake. These
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs are beefing down south. It's funny. This is an entrepreneur beef or something. I mean, like
Yeah.
this isn't right here, but all of the
This is a receipt right here.
Tony the closer is having entrepreneurial beefs with people, and this is a part of something that people are all up in arms, and we'll just give you a little backstory. Or do you want to do it? I'm so sorry.
No, I
Okay,
want you to do it
I'll
because
tell you a
I don't.
little
I
bit of
just saw
backstory.
a little bit of the other side. I didn't. So yeah, I need you to. I need the backstory from you.
So basically, um, oh wow, I didn't even see these comments. I'm gonna read those in a second, guys. This
Because
just
I
got
can't see
juicier.
those.
It got juicier right before our eyes. Did you see that? All right, listen. So I don't know if you've heard of Jay Morrison, but he's like an entrepreneurial type of figure. I don't know if I guess he's into like real estate, maybe. I really don't know what his main lane of businesses. I've seen him speak before. I've seen him be interviewed, and I know he did this whole Legacy Center thing a few, some time back. I don't even know all the years and stuff that he did it, but basically, Jay Morrison in Atlanta has. Basically in the past, maybe like 2 or 3 months, the Legacy Center went bankrupt, which means all the people who donated like, hey, I want to see good things happen at this community center that you're building, and all the people who invested basically lost their money. Now that's one thing we talked about maybe like a couple months back about how people were trying to hold people accountable that were not a part of scamming, but it's like, like the whole social proof crew, like they never did anything, but they interviewed people who turned out to have issues later being
Mm-hmm.
related to being, accused of scamming. But anyway, this falls into that because this young man, Aristotle, he calls himself Aristotle. I cannot remember his real name right now, but he's a really cool dude. He bought the Legacy Center cash. Okay. So here's what had happened. This guy, Jay Morrison, goes bankrupt. All these people are looking for him. They're mad. They feel like he stole his money. People are trying to hold him accountable, get their money back, all this. While the stuff is in bankruptcy, along comes someone else, this guy who's like an investor, and he teaches people about investments and all that stuff. He buys the property, and then people are trying to figure out like how much he bought it for and all that stuff. So he came and did an interview on Social Proof, and talked about everything in a very positive light, I might add. I feel like that must have been one of his requirements, and I feel like Shan's is like that too, where it's just like we're not gonna talk bad about anybody. Plus, he knows and he's friends with Jay Morrison and Ernestine because he
Mm-hmm.
talked about Ernestine right there. So anyway, that's a whole other story. But this right here is signifying they're like, okay, so they're like, well, what are the terms and how do we know that he really bought it and all this stuff? So JT Pocket Watcher, who is someone who's just exactly what his name says, guess
Mm-hmm.
what he does, okay? He reached out to say, like, or they were talking about how, like, oh, well, if he bought it cash, then he could show some receipts. Well, he showed some receipts. He sent proof of payment for the Legacy Center. He's legit. And then he says, JC Pocket Watcher says, I'm not sure what games Jay Morrison is playing. I suppose they must have he's must be doing something. Real estate, especially.
So wait, so what's the thing in question? Jay Morrison was trying to say that he paid for the Legacy Center, or what was the thing what made him post this receipt? Is just because he said, oh, he should be able to show a receipt that he paid
Jay
cash?
Morrison is being accused of stealing people's money, and he went bankrupt. So if he's getting $3.6 million, then people are looking for him, and so he's not coming forth saying that he's received any money. And so he's playing around, I
Okay,
suppose.
wait. So you're saying, okay, I missed that part. So he is in real estate. He sold this to him and he
Yes.
paid in cash. And so they're like, if he's bankrupt and he just got this cash,
Yeah. Then
where's
where's
the
all our investing money? You got
okay?
to give us something. So I guess there's a
Mm,
stall over there. Okay.
mm.
Because people don't know what's up. And then, so they're like, so what's up? And so this man is like, oh no, I'm legit. Like, so then he's saying, and now I'm looking at his comments. LOL, when the hate don't work, they start telling lies. He says, I'm going to take down down the Legacy Center name. I'm going to take down the investors' names on both walls. I already have my staff working there. Stop believing everything y'all see on the internet. So apparently there was some drama around that. I
Who
don't
said
know
that?
the backstory. That was the person who purchased it.
Who purchased it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
So
I
has Jay Morrison said anything in response to that? Kind of
not
like,
that I know. Jay Morrison has been very quiet. I haven't seen him say anything.
wow.
I think, I mean, which I would expect.
I
If
mean, what
you
can you
owe a
say?
whole bunch of people money, you're not like outside all the time.
Mm-mm.
But maybe he is. I don't know. I'm about to look up his page right now because maybe he is. Maybe he's posting every day. I don't remember. I don't recall that though. Yeah, I don't see anything up here. This is from. Yeah,
What
I would be
about
shocked. Like, okay, I
white
would be
folks?
shocked because when people owe when you owe people money and then they find out you got money, come on, and it's this
Yeah.
public. So
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
come
yeah.
on, dog. I don't even know what to tell you.
So has his wife said anything? Like, she
So you
said
know
anything
what
to
I
him?
thought was weird? Okay, and here's something that's weird. I'm just gonna say it's weird. Shans is so funny because he's on there giving the interview and he happens to slip in there like, yeah, because I had asked Ernestine a little while ago if I could do an event in the little grass area, and she was like, yeah. And then I heard it was getting sold, so I looked online and I was like, oh no, it's gonna take at least a couple months because my event is in July. That's what he said, and he was like, but I saw it was sold cash, so I said, dang, I guess I gotta find somewhere else. And you know why he was saying that because then the next thing Aristotle said was, well, you can still do that there. And he's like, nah, you're going to be under construction by then. He's like, no, we've got things delayed. You can still do it outside. And I was like, that is just like him to be like, okay, great, we got a deal. I'll still do that outside. But so just to be very, fair here, I do assume positive intent, maybe to a fault. So, but when he said that about his own friend, and she didn't tell him that like, hey, we're selling it, so you're gonna have to figure that out with the next person. She did, maybe she hadn't got the chance to reach back out to him, but I
I
thought that was a little
mean,
shady.
yeah, but then at the same time, you got to think about too, like, what else could have been going on? Or was he, like, her husband telling her, don't say nothing? You know what I'm saying?
Sure. And I mean, who knows? And I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Obviously there's a wire transfer, but I don't understand how that stuff works. So maybe they don't even have access right away, and or
I
maybe
mean,
they
or
just
they
want
could be in debt
they
too.
could
So
be so in debt, and or they could be like, "This is our money. We're going to spend this the way we want." It could be anything.
that's wild.
It
That
is
is
wild.
wild.
It is very well. Anyway, okay, so we were talking about this lady earlier, and I just wanted to bring her up. Well, you know what? This lady is crazy. You told me some stuff about her. This is Chef Babette. I think her first name is Babette, but she goes by Chef Babette. I guess she's a chef. I mean, duh.
Yeah, she has a restaurant with her husband. Her husband now, I think he's her fourth husband, and it's called Stuff I Eat.
She is so
It's a
beautiful.
vegan
She's
restaurant.
72 years old. It's wild. It's wild.
She has been through a lot. Like she's been through a lot, and I don't know who I watched her be interviewed by, and I'm really upset that I can't remember because I think it was somebody. It was somebody that we normally watch. But I'll have to tell you later once I figure it out. But like she said a lot about like how she just wasn't taking care of herself at first. You know what I mean? And then she talked about the relationships that we had with some of the men and how some of them were abusive and stuff like that. And then when she met her husband, she got now, um, like he actually like helped her and encouraged her along the way for what she's doing now. Bobby Price. That's what I see. That's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't I forget? Why would I
Bobby
forget that it was
Price?
Bobby Price? He's the guy that has the fruit farm. Donnie well, she didn't just interview him. She interviewed him a little while ago, but he got a fruit farm with Stefan Speaks. Um,
Okay.
but
Oh,
yeah,
Dr. Bobby Price. Okay, 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 okay. Yeah,
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 that interview was so good. She talked like I don't want to say the stuff in the interview because I want people to go watch it like I did. Like she could do an 8-minute plank, you know what I'm saying? But she told her story, and what was amazing about her story to me was that she had been through a lot in the way of like trauma and just not doing good things to her body, and she was able to turn it around and become the woman that she is now at 73 years old, looking like that. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So it was a very good interview. So if y'all haven't watched that and you like stuff like that, definitely go check out the interview with her and Bobby Price. And then I will say this part. He has a fruit farm, right? Which I really want to place the order or whatever because he has like, exotic in season fruits and stuff. And so he brought some to Donnie too. But he'll bring some fruits like that people haven't tried before, or whatever, and he'll let them taste them and explain what they are and all of that stuff or whatever. And he did that with her, and that was kind of cool too. And she was like, "Are you married?" but she, but she's obviously married. But she was,
Ah,
but
but
yeah.
you know what? This was Bobby Price.
Mm-hmm.
When I often like I don't I saw him on a couple of different places like interviewing or being interviewed, and he seems like obviously he knows what he's talking about, but
Mm-hmm.
somebody had asked him about his dating life or something, and he was like, obviously the person has to be vegan and this and that and this and that, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, good luck out
Donnie
there, buddy.
interviewed him, and I think
Have
he
you
talked about
seen
that.
these streets?
Right, right.
You're gonna sexy rat is out here. Okay, listen. Good luck, man. And I don't think that the person doesn't exist. And I'm actually really intrigued by like vegan lifestyle and stuff. And I do foresee myself at some point like being, like I have a smoothie almost every day. Like I love fruits and vegetables, so I wouldn't feel any sort of way with having more fruits and vegetables. I don't know if I'm planning on going completely vegan, but I can see the benefits of it, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. But when it comes to him, whatever he said made me feel like he's one of those people who will be asking, like what his girl ate, or like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh no, we can't do this.
Yeah, he does seem like that.
He
You gotta
seems
see him explain the fruits though, like, and then like I
really
watched a bunch of
particular.
his videos too. He talks about, but he, he has his head on straight. But the interview with Donnie was good as well. So yeah, Blondie says she follows a lot of his tips. She's not vegan though. She hasn't eaten beef or pork since 2010. Nice. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
that's
listen,
right.
like the whole thing about I think that, like your nephew wanted to go vegan. He's still pescatarian. He's doing really good with that. But I think that, I was explaining to him how we grew up. We grew up pescatarian. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you just have to get to a point where you understand what you're putting in your body and just go from there. Because I realize a lot of people don't even know how to cook healthy. It's like
Yeah, that's
they
true.
just like a pre-made meal for this, a pre-made meal for that. Thank God we grew up in an era where we didn't have, everybody didn't have a microwave at first. And, we had to actually cut stuff up on our own and cook stuff from scratch. And so I'm thankful for that part of our upbringing, because there's nothing for me to go throw a meal together. You know what I mean? A healthy meal together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a mind thing. Like I go through my moments where I'm eating stuff that I have no business eating, but I think that once you get to a certain point of where you're focusing on your health, once you know something, you can't unknow it. So it's like, okay, every time you do this or you eat this, you know what you're putting into your body, you know what it's gonna do or whatever. So at some point it's like you have to take responsibility for it, right? And so it's a mindset thing though. So you just gotta, a little bit at a time. And I've noticed for me, I'll just use me for example. I used to drink beer all the time, right? Back in the day, I used to smoke Black and Milds. I used to drink beer all the
Oh my
time.
gosh.
And I used to eat whatever, and now fast forward years and years later, I don't smoke Black and Milds. I don't drink beer all the time. I don't eat pork. I don't, perm my hair anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
it's a
like
lot.
you just change over time and you just build upon the habits. Now I'm looking at it at like the point that I'm at now. I'm like, okay, what habits do I want to have when I'm 50, right? I'm looking
Yeah.
at the future. Okay, how do I see myself, right? If I want to have those habits, then I need to start working on certain things. You know what I'm saying? And I've really had for a long time didn't really have like a morning. I don't even know how we got here, but we're here right now, so we'll
We're
just.
here.
But a morning routine. Now, I remember the dude. I can't remember his name. I wonder what he's doing now. The dude that had the Dorito truck from Baltimore. He was making like these. Not a Dorito truck. It was a taco truck. I think this was the first when I was first watching. I first found out about David Shands or whatever, and I seen an interview with this guy, and I can't remember his name, but he's from Baltimore, and he was making these tacos, and he was using Doritos and stuff like that. But
Okay.
he made it. He did really good with it. But he said your success is in your morning routine, right? And so it's like, okay, what does that mean? It just back then I didn't know what it meant, but it basically means you need to put in your morning routine what you need to get through the day. So it's kind of like if you was taking your lunch to work, you need to just pack what you need to eat. You know what I mean? And then it'll be in that box and you go in there and it's in there. So that's like what your morning routine is. For me, I need to have prayed, I need to have moved my body, and I need to have meditated, So once I do that, I can just go on with whatever it is that I'm gonna do. But anyway, it's not about me. My point is her. I really, really, just have a lot of respect for her. She, like I said, she can do an 8-minute plank. That's unheard of.
That's crazy.
So, I'm not trying to be like her, but I'm trying to just create some, better habits or whatever. And I mean, everybody can probably look back on their life and see how much better they've done at something and just build on that. Like, so what, you haven't done everything. You can't do everything at once, but what have you done good and what have you done right and what would complement it and put it in there? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Blondie says her doctor just praised her today for turning certain issues around in 3 months. Like good, really. Wait, what she say? Like good really is medicine for your soul. Oh, food. Like food is really medicine for you. So you stumped me with that one. She told me to keep doing what I'm doing. She was shocked. That is amazing. Blondie, that is
that's
bomb.
what's
Because,
up. Yes.
stuff we do out of habit. A lot of stuff we do out of habit, or a lot of stuff we eat out of habit, and you might not even realize that it's not good for you. You know what I mean? And like I just feel sorry for the people who feel like they can't make the meal and they have to rely on somebody else to cook it, because you just don't know at that point how much stuff goes into your food, how much just how much extra stuff that you probably don't need. So I don't know, I could talk about that all day, because that's just kind of what I be talking about all day. So
no, that's what's up. I love that.
anyway.
Okay, so next we're gonna go. Listen, I'm kind of I'm going to go to this one next. I'm all over the place tonight, guys. This is news, okay? This billionaire.
Hold on, I gotta do something. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a billionaire named Ben Horowitz, and his quote is this: "Billionaires prefer black women. They are loyal and guard your interests. Black wives are for grown-ups." Oh, yes, Mr. Ben Horowitz, you are correct. I don't even know who he is. I looked at him. I looked him up on Wikipedia just to make sure it wasn't some. But he is indeed a very wealthy man. I think he worked at Netscape at one point. He's like one of those Silicon Valley people. They have so much money out there; they'll never spend all of their money. Like it's impossible. It's like you got long money. Once you and like once you build a software or app or whatever, like it's a wrap. Like you don't ever have to work anymore. But yeah, I love what he says here. Black wives are for grown-ups. I mean, listen, I guess people could say this was racist too, but
I could hear somebody in the back saying, "What if that was some other race saying that and putting, and not, and it wasn't that?" It would be like, okay.
Well, I don't know who would say that, but they didn't, and this is true. So
funny.
So there's that. This is an actual fact.
Why does his name sound familiar? What is
because I think he was a part of probably from that whole era. Netscape was around back like Mozilla, Firefox. Like I remember that whole era, and he's like basically one of the .com folks. That's how I'm looking at it. Like he invested. He has software stock or whatever. Like that's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that are billionaires that are now just like doing philanthropy work. And the funny thing about doing philanthropy work is that you can run it like a business and just have a lot of your expenses going through it, and you're basically just donating money and getting it back in your taxes. Or like, if you're operating an organization or a business and you're doing philanthropy work, like you're just not paying taxes. It's like you're just getting your money right back. So shout out to the people who figured that out. Because
who have the money to be doing
who have the money, and you know what they are? They're intelligent and they're right about a lot, including this. And I'm so glad that this is breaking news to some people. But yeah, so what do you think about this?
I don't have any thoughts about that.
I think it's true.
I think it's so funny.
I think it's true. But anyway, all right. So enough fun on that. Now let's go over to the other side of the spectrum, people, because there are some things that are happening. Guys, I don't know why I can't get enough of this game show. It's very odd to me. I guess it's not even just one game show, because it's like the Versus 21 or something like that. And then there's the balloon show. And the balloon show, I mean, they're both pretty disrespectful, but the balloon is a little bit more disrespectful because there's a loud noise involved with the rejection, right? It's like not only did you get rejected, but pop, like this is it's a sound to your rejection, and it's almost like it's being celebrated, or So this was interesting though, because looking at this one, this man it looked like they were making a connection, and then she said, "Well, how do you feel about kids?" And he said, "I have a son." And she said, "Okay, great." And he was like, "Do you have kids?" And she was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "How many?" And she was like, 5. Then I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "So what's the? I mean, so what's the?" I didn't know what he was about to ask, but he basically was like, "What's the breakdown, I guess, of ages?"
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, she started, I don't know if she started at 8 or 12, but she started low.
She started at 8. She said 8, 6, 4, 2, and 11 months. I remember because I was
11 months.
It was, it's like that means you had 4 months of not being pregnant in between the 2-year-old and 11-month-old.
Like, I didn't even do that, man.
Where's the baby's father? You know what I'm saying, for that one,
or plural.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I mean, my point is like even the last one's not here, and now you working on this dude, and he's just thinking probably, I don't know, I've never been a man, but I imagine that he probably was like, dang, 5 extra miles. They all close together. The one of them is not even one yet.
Dog.
Who knows what the baby's fathers are like? I don't know. That was wild. But listen, I always say this: we watch these things, and we're not privy to all of the information. And
True.
not to say that anything happened behind the scenes for this one, but she knew that she would possibly get asked that question. She had to.
Yeah, and she was trying to pop her own balloon.
She put her head down because she was like, you know what I'm saying? So
I knew this would happen. Yeah, she was trying to pop her own balloon. She was like, "Oh, I get it. Yeah, I've been rejected. I got just hurry up and do it." It was kind of messed up, but I mean, I don't know her story. You're right. There's lots more
another baby father. I'm sorry. It just seems like that.
And then there's some people who get together with people. They're like, "Oh, I have 5 kids. Oh, I have 4 kids, or I have 3 kids. Like, let's get together and
She got a schedule to keep every 2 years.
Dog, let me just tell you something. I wasn't even, at first I was like, they're judging her until she got to 11 months. When she said 11 months, I said, shut your mouth. You shouldn't even be off bed rest yet.
No, but after
all maternity leave.
8, 6, 4.
Dog, that's a lot of dishes. It's a lot of laundry.
A lot of clothes.
It's a lot of It's a lot of noise.
Do you know that they can't? Well, I saw a sign today that was advertising a camp, and they were gonna like go on field trips. They'll teach them financial literacy. That Joe said $475 a week. I was like, what? $475 a week. Because in the summertime, you got to pay for the camps weekly. Some of them do bi-weekly or whatever. But I haven't had to do that in eons, right? But back when I had to do it, it was like $250 a week was high to me. Like, oh, okay, this is the price, but $475 is wild to.
I mean, can my child work here to pay some of the cost?
Summertime.
You have a job for them? Like, can they work while they're here to offset some of the costs? This isn't going to work out well for us. Like, I don't think so. That's $475.
So I can imagine he was looking at that from a financial standpoint.
Times 5?
At the point of this conversation, we don't know if the fathers could be taking care of all of them. Who knows, right? But it is, as a man, I can see that it would be something to deal with, because if it was turned around, and I've not dated people because they had so many kids. Like, I can't begin. You don't have time to date me because you have all these kids to spend time with. Like, what?
It's true.
What does it look like for us to be going out having fun and you have umpteen kids? No.
Right. Your phone is ringing, and it could be 7 people that are important. Right? It's like, wow, like that's too. I don't say it's too many people. Like, I support people who have large families, and I I'm not judging anybody, but it's tough out here when you have an 11-month-old and you're in a dating show with a balloon. Like, I don't think that's the right place for you, young lady. But I wish her, some people go out there and they meet people and they get together and they it's like happily ever after, like one of those sitcoms we used to watch that we were talking about. But sometimes, it doesn't work out like that.
I don't be feeling sorry for these people, because everybody at this point knows what social media is giving. And if you agree to go on this show, you agree to basically just be like, I'm about to see what happens. I mean, and the same thing with 20v1. So I do not feel sympathy for what happened, because you signed up to go on there, for the unknown.
Yeah, it's wild. And I mean, and you have an 11-month-old. That's what I never really understand. Like, how did you get away to do this when you have 2 children that close, like a 2-year-old and 11-month-old? Like, how did you even get out here? How did you
watching the kids?
Who's watching those children for you to be here? And did you tell them where you were really going? I don't know. Okay, next story. Listen.
Well, they know now.
This is a really racially charged episode, but it wasn't meant to set up like that. But okay, this is like this. Okay, did you listen to this?
I did.
Okay. All right, let me get your thoughts on it first then.
I feel like you should put this link in the description after this is over so people can actually go or drop it in the comments so people can
Okay.
actually go and listen to it. I didn't know they were doing stuff like this over there, rapping and stuff. I had no idea, but I really would like. I'm just one of those people that if I can't hear what you're saying, if I can't understand what you're saying, I need to translate because what are you saying
Well,
before I
I
start
mean,
bobbing my head to it.
it was
You know what I
wild.
mean?
It's a couple things that were wild. Number one, they're obviously culturally like uh
I mean, but you remember Mimi, right? She still be doing her YouTube and stuff like that. You remember Mimi from Love and Hip Hop?
yeah.
Lovely Mimi from Nick Cannon show. Why can't I remember
I
her name?
remember her. Now, what so here's what I'm thinking, like
They look like her.
the nails and the hair and all that stuff is obviously derived from, and even the music, but I will say this, listening to the actual song, that joint bangs. I was like, this is actually a really
Before I
tough.
start bopping my head.
I was like, this is a tough beat. Like,
I gotta hit a translate on that joke.
I don't know what she was saying, but I have to think if they all got dressed up and they're serious, like they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything like super derogatory or whatever. I don't think they're saying like
Oh Lord.
nothing they're doing is offensive to me. I
Well,
just,
I wouldn't say that because just our luck in 2024. Who knows what they're saying? There's going to be a
it's
clip of you
true.
saying, "Well, I don't think it's a whole bunch of them, and they're not doing anything derogatory," and it comes out that they're saying like something crazy.
Yeah, something crazy. Yeah, so you're right. I don't know what they're
No,
saying.
I think you're right though. I don't think they're saying anything crazy, but
But I mean, like, okay, so the cultural appropriation is thick, though. And I mean, but I understand, and I do understand that, like, black people are so cool and we're so original and we're so innovative. And the things that people do in the hood are emulated. Like, it's like these aren't even like rich and famous people that they're emulating. They're emulating like hood activity and behavior. It's like people are enamored with this across the globe, and it's just it's just being black. It's whatever. But this is obviously not to be. Come on, you didn't come up with this by yourself, and the whole thing is very culturally yeah. Anyway, but I'm not offended personally, is what I'm
no, I thought
saying.
the beat was tight. I
And
thought
I actually
they
thought
remind
that she rocked that song.
they
She was
reminded me of a whole bunch of like I got to go back and look and see who's in the background and stuff or whatever. But if Lovely Mimi popped up, I wouldn't be shocked.
they look like they're having a good time. I'm gonna say, and she was spitting whatever she was saying. It sounded good, like the cadence, the pentameter of it, and the syncopation. She did that well. So
Yeah.
I don't know what she was saying, but if
Um,
it was if it was even like coherent sentences, then she did a good job because it sounded sometimes like there was a verse in there that the other young lady saying that the black girl that was in English, but the rest of it kind of sounded like English at parts, and I was like, is she doing like the thing where you know you go back and forth between speaking one language and the English and then one language and English? I don't know, maybe she was, but it sounded good. So anyway, that's how I feel about that. And then just because we want to be controversial, we have another rather controversial topic, and then we'll get to our final topic. I'm very curious, and I'm going to make you react to this one first as well because I just thought this was so funny. Like, certain things come across the internet, and I just don't expect to have like such a reaction to it. But when I listen to this man talk about his daughter being bullied, and then I swiped, yo, what did you think about this?
hey, I listen. I'm on dude's side. You know what I'm saying? And granted, somebody put in the comments that what if the father would have retaliated by pulling out a gun? That would have just been showing how much of a punk he was, and that would have just been a bad reaction, right? Because back in the day, it wasn't nothing for a fist fight, and I feel like it really did prove the point. Your daughter has been bullying my daughter. We done talked to you. We done been up to the school. We done wrote letters, and so we can't do nothing to her. So let's go. You know what I'm saying?
You
And
got the
and
clap.
and then to explain why it wasn't a one-on-one, it was a good example for the girl to see. This is unfair. Yeah, this is exactly what you're doing to my daughter. So maybe as a family, y'all will get that shit together. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Now, I mean, it could go bad and keep going back and forth, but I don't think that it was that type of situation. Like, I think that sometimes people just kind of they know who to try like that or
yeah,
whatever. But I listen. I'm on dude's side. I think that that was well warranted. Not to say that I would go do that in any violence or whatever. But if somebody was telling me that my child was bothering their child, I'm gonna check my child. You know what I mean? And if I got my ass whips over the fact that my child was fucking with somebody else, I mean,
that's crazy.
I'm just imagining the conversation that they had to have afterwards. It's like you just
I
anyway.
mean, it's got to be traumatic for the
I
girl
feel
to
like that was
see.
an old school way to handle it. I would
And it
not,
was like,
I don't condone,
obviously.
I don't
Sorry, go ahead.
condone violence, but I'm on my light skinned brother's side right here.
Ah,
Say,
okay, so I didn't agree with what he said, but he was so funny when I got to the second slide, and he said, people asking me why we jumped him, and sometimes she has to learn responsibilities, and life's responsibilities will jump you.
that's right.
I laughed. Yo, he was so funny, but he obviously, okay, I agree and disagree. Like, I understand, like, grown man business. I don't necessarily like if they did it as a scare tactic. I guess it was maybe a twofer, because if they had talked to the man and he never responded and was like, whatever, my daughter can do whatever my daughter wants to do, and it's just like, oh, we'll see about that. We'll show both of you, right? Obviously, that must have been the case, but
I mean, because
um,
what do you think the daughter's gonna think now that she's seen her father get his ass whipped?
that
He's
she's
not gonna
not
think.
safe.
She's not gonna think that he's gonna handle problems for her. She's gonna think, okay, damn, I got my father's ass whipped.
I don't know if it works like that.
And if
I
I
think she,
okay, peep this. Well, if you're a little girl and you've been bullying somebody else, and somebody got your father got his ass whipped in front of you, right? Unless you're crazy, you're gonna be like, damn, that's kind of fucked up. You
it's
know what I'm
fucked
saying? You
up.
might not think fucked up, but you're gonna be like, damn, that's like
Yeah,
who I would get to help me with
it's
something. You know
got
what
to
I'm saying?
be really fucked up for the dad, because it's like, I gotta go tell my kid that. Yeah, well, dad got fucked up today.
But
Luckily, that's never happened to me.
but
I've never seen
see,
that.
I've never seen anything like that happen, and it could have gotten worse. I don't condone the violence at all. I mean, it already happened, and so I'm just having a reaction to the fact that I'm not mad at the way he handled it. Because if there were several attempts, like I don't know. I mean,
What
I
is
guess,
there left to do?
but I guess it's like okay, it depends on how far it's gonna go, I guess. Like if because now he would have to worry about the retaliation. You know what I'm saying? And it could get worse and worse, and it could be taken like that. Like the message could have been lost. But I feel like if I was a little girl and I had to see my father get his ass whipped, a lot of things would go through my mind. But I definitely wouldn't do anything else to contribute. Maybe she
Yeah,
goes to bully somebody else, but she's definitely not going to bully that little girl anymore because she doesn't, she knows what happened to her father because of it, right? But who knows if the lesson was really taught? But I think it taught the father a lesson because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your child's actions at that age. Like, what's happening here? I mean,
hands
they could have
down.
taken their daughter out of the school or whatever, but I don't know. Listen, you can't tell people how to fight back. It's like if I walk past you and bump you on your shoulder and you decide to pick up a rock and hit me, I can't then say, "Oh my God, I only bumped your shoulder." You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I look at this. Like they didn't go and start with these people, and they made contact with the people before. It's not like it was a sneak attack as far as like you don't know what your
You don't
daughter's
know
doing.
what this is about.
So yeah, so you can't really tell people how to respond when they messing with your kids. When somebody messing with your kid, you don't care about certain things. You're like gonna try to protect your kid at all costs or whatever. And so I like I said, I don't condone the violence, but I ain't mad at I ain't mad at him. Sorry.
I feel you. I don't. I'm not mad at him either. Honestly, he had me in stitches. I was literally laughing. I don't know, like, sure, the girl's gonna go through some stuff, but she kind of brought it on herself. It's not like, and people have been through worse. Like, people have seen much worse things happen to people. So
But then
it
at
is
the
what
end
it
of the day,
is. Might as well teach her young. Look, this is what an ass beating looks like, because we are not going to give you one, young lady, but you're headed towards one. So
I mean,
get
I don't
familiar.
know. I don't
Get
know.
on the other side of this.
I don't know. I just feel like it was drawn out. I don't feel like it was something that happened right away, right? I don't know. This is a tough one because I don't agree with the violence, but if there were multiple attempts, like what do you do other than take your kid out of the school? Like, but then what is that? I don't know. I don't know. But then what did he teach his child? What was his daughter when the other father got jumped? Did she see her? Well, he didn't do it. He said he got somebody else to do it. So I don't know. I don't know. This is gonna probably be like a controversial thing. Hey, Fake, drop the link in the chat for Blondie
For this one.
for that one. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't listen. I didn't disagree with it because I didn't have that type of issue um of my child actually being a bully. But I'm just saying, me personally, which is probably redundant, but I probably would have taken it really seriously if my child was messing with somebody else's child. So I don't know. You just you expect stuff like that to be handled, um, because you know how you feel about your child. Like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I feel you. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
to each his own. He did what he did what he did, and it was right for his situation. I believe that, and it was hilarious. I'm sorry, guys. It was hilarious.
The fact that he had a rational
He with several
explanation took
supporting
me out.
factors. He was like, and this, and this, and this, and of course, it was like he was doing a service for humanity, for their community and shit. Like, yeah, I did it, and I do it again, and here's why. It was hilarious. But anyway,
It
okay,
was.
here's the last thing that we're going to talk about tonight, guys. Or I don't know. This might spark something else up, but I think this is our last topic. Okay, so this young man, I don't know if anybody heard about this, but about I think it was like a few weeks ago. Oh, it was April 14th. It's right here in the story. This guy, he's a medical student. He was on a boat with a bunch of his friends, and one of them pushed him in, and he was like in the hospital for a while, and they were talking about he was brain dead. And I remember the story came out, and I was like, why would you push your friend in if you knew they couldn't swim? Because that was the thing. Like, they knew he couldn't swim and all that, and they pushed him in, and he basically almost drowned, and then he was brain dead. He was
Yeah.
close to being declared brain dead. But I remember I was like, oh my God, is he gonna make it? And so he did make it, and now he's up, and he's saying that he doesn't think anybody did anything intentionally wrong. But
Yeah, I heard about this, and I thought they were at a restaurant because there was actually none of them jumped in to try to save them. A person from the restaurant came running, because I think he had just graduated, but they came running out to save him, and they were all standing there looking in the water. Like, I seen the picture of all of them just standing there, just looking, and it was like some discrepancy about how long he was underwater. I think it was a longer time that was reported at first, like 10 or 15 minutes or something like that.
oh,
But then they changed it to say that he was only underwater for a couple of minutes. But he wasn't breathing when they pulled him out. They were trying to do CPR on him, and then he was brain dead for a while. I saw a video where his mother was talking about trying to get justice or whatever. And then I saw the video of him saying that they didn't do anything. And I was just like, that was my question too. If he even knew that he couldn't swim like that, but his I mean, that's just not smart to me anyway. They didn't know it was that deep, but he thought he was gonna go down and push himself back up. It doesn't make sense to me why it would even be a thing.
first of all, people who
Your
can't
clothes and
swim
stuff,
are
and
normally really scared. I don't know. Some
yeah.
of the stuff, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but some of the stuff be screaming like clone or stuff like that to me. It's just like, why would this even happen? I don't understand. I mean,
I
and
don't know. I don't know. It's a question about, you just never know. He said they were all close. But I don't think it's a clone or whatever because like I feel like the I gotta look into the clones, but I think clones actually have to go through an actual human cycle to be a full blown
Okay,
human.
fine.
But it's just the fact that he was in a he was brain dead at first.
And he's like, "Oh, nobody did anything intentionally wrong." Well, I get it.
Like speech is affected. I don't know how he talked before, but it definitely sounded like it was affected. But he does not think that they did anything. But I don't know.
You
I
know
just felt
what?
like
Maybe he's just happy to be
none of them
alive.
jumped in, and somebody had to come from the restaurant out that wasn't even a part of their group to jump in and save the guy. I don't know.
He might just be happy to be alive, but
But you're right. But people
this
that
screams
are
weirdness to me. Like
because people that you're right, people that are afraid of water is not going to stay. I mean, I can swim, but I'm not going to stay too close to the edge of nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm good.
at all. I'm always looking at that, but because also like there's a level that you could fall from that when you hit the water. You're reacting to the water. You're reacting to the way the water feels your body. So even if you can swim, something could happen when you hit the water. Or like people, I don't like nothing like that.
The
I
whole
don't
thing
like
is weird
jumping
to
in
me.
shallow water. I hate
Even,
I hate these kinds of stories.
even the way that the police reported it as, oh, they were just horsing around. Now, why would y'all even report it like
No,
that? So I don't know. I don't know. It was strange to me.
it's very strange to me. It reminds me of that story where that woman was killed. Well, I'm saying she was
Oh,
killed. The
are you
black
talking
woman
about
who had the
the
sleepover.
slumber party? Mm-hmm.
Yep. It
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of that. That's always gonna haunt me. Is
Yeah, I
because it's
don't
like
know.
that was so weird. And this seems like something like that. But I mean, this man is saying that he doesn't think there was any foul play. So, more power to him. I'm glad he made it because I was really thinking that, he might
And he
not.
also said that he hadn't talked to them since then, right? He in that video, didn't he say I haven't talked to them since then, but they're really close? He said something like that. But which I think is weird because why wouldn't they be at the hospital? I don't know. I don't know. Whatever.
Everything's weird about this. The way he's even talking is a little weird. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know anything about the investigation, but it's like, dude, you were almost dead. So I don't know about this. Anyway, guys, this is going to be
Yeah.
a short one tonight. Oh wait, Blondie says I can't swim and I live in Florida. I also like to get into pools. I live 20 minutes from the beach and I like the beach. Yeah, the beach
I
was.
love the beach, yeah.
And look, they probably were his friends, and it also reminds me of that Mexico trip, right?
I mean, because there's a whole bunch of little things around like that. Like people traveling with people that they think are their friends and something ends up happening or whatever. Like that was just too wild to me. That
It
was
was
just
just too out there, and it's like if I were his mom, especially because his mom was like trying to get justice, it's like obviously you're not hanging out with none of them, and we gonna see,
yeah,
you
because
know.
apparently, like the first person that called her said that he was in underwater for a long time or something like that. I don't know. Um, that's crazy.
Weird. I don't like it. It screams weird to me. It's fishy. Something's weird. No pun intended, but it seems fishy. Anyway, all right, y'all. Look, we're gonna get out of here early tonight. We got dinner to get, but we
Yes,
so enjoy hanging out with y'all. Join us again next week to find out whatever is going on the internet. We'll be
absolutely.
back. Demetra, do you want to close us out?
Thank you guys for watching. Follow us. Our shit. I can't talk. Follow us on social media. Our information is in the description below. We're definitely going to be back, like Sis said, next week, depending on what's happening. We probably do need to update on a couple of like reality shows and what's going on
Yes.
with that or whatever. I'm still watching the Never Ever Mets, so I'll probably have something to say about that. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. I'm about to go get some kava.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh.
Anyway,
All
so
right, y'all.
everybody. Peace, everybody.